Alright, just recently we had the full set reveal of Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia out in Japan. It was like start of the week, but I have been busy, so I've not been able to record this. Um, you can see there is a lot more cards to be revealed. We also have two of the pre-release promos known so far because of leaks, so there is that to go through as well. Um, I know one of them offhand because it is pretty good. The other one I forgot off the top of my head. I will put it in the description whenever before I upload this, so I can take a look. So, Mega Venusaur, we've seen this already. However, it gets better with a new card in Symphonia, I believe. I don't believe it's in Brave, which is kind of strange, considering Brave focuses entirely on grass. Well, not entirely on grass on fighting, but um, a lot of good grass support is in Brave, whereas the card that helps Mega Venusaur is in Symphonia. Executor, Guard Press, 30, 30 less. 30 for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon can actually be decent because we have a Meganium, which costs. There's a Meganium in this set, which is actually really good because, again, of the same support it gives to Venusaur, where each grass energy is two grass instead of one. And just because it's a stage 2 does not mean it's bad. So Executor could be a decent rogue-ish deck, but I'm not counting on it. Celebi, 3 in any combination of grass Pokemon and stadium cards. Really good setup attacker. 80 HP means not puffinable, but that's actually also good because it means Dragapult can't knock you out with a single Hawlucha Ping and Phantom Dive. So 80 HP is actually not the worst thing in the world. Shift tree, flip a coin if heads, shuffle one of your opponent's Pokemon into their deck. Kind of a reference, I guess, to the old black and white one that caused a ban, but not as good as that one, because that was an ability, not an attack. 100 confusion, no. Ninetales, we've already seen. Mega Camerupt. Okay, I can zoom in on them. Pokemon proxies, for some reason, sometimes glitches for me and doesn't zoom in on cards. Anyways, Roasting Heat. If your opponent's active is burned, this attack does 80 plus 160 plus the 20, so you're effectively doing 260. You can stack this with Magmortar for, I think it's 30 extra, I want to say, per Magmortar. Um, you also have the Volcanion EX to just auto burn, so this is actually a pretty decent attack, all things considered. Volcanic Meteor for energy is not easy to get, unfortunately, so I don't think it's going to be used for that. Speaking of Volcanion, not a good one. Singe, auto burn on an attack, not an ability, so it's not the best. Backfire, put 2 fire energy into your hand from this Pokemon. Maybe in Ho-Oh Box. I know a lot of people in the Discord have been discussing it, so it could be a decent attacker. The only issue is your opponent can just go Iono and your energy go back into the deck. Wild Kick, Score Bunny. I think the one from Stellar Crown is better than both of these. Maybe the Raboot's better because it's 40 snipe. Cinderace. When this was revealed, a lot of people immediately made jokes. Before it was revealed, a lot of people were making jokes on how, what if Monkey Dory could be powered up even faster than Turbo Energize, and they give us Flare Turbo. Search for 3 basic energy cards, attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. So, 3 Monkey Dory. And you can also play this on your first turn going first when you set up. And only when you set up. Gimme Ghoul, the other ones are better. Slap for 10 is just not good. Sand Slash, 50 if your opponent... Oh, it's Smokescreen. Flip a coin if Tails out attack doesn't happen. Not as good. Onyx, Bind, Flip a coin, Paralysis. No. So yeah, just bulk again. Tyrogue, flip a coin until you get tails, 30 more damage for each heads. I guess on a free attack, it's not good. It's not good. On a free attack, it could be decent because you're not wasting energy for a turn and you're just getting easy chip damage. Hariyama, this has the same ability as Hop's Double, and Wild Press does 210 and 70 to itself. It can be paid for reversal energy, so there is that. There is a decent amount of Fighting Week Pokemon in format, so it could help out a lot. There's a few Fighting Week Mega Pokemon, so Wild Press could be a good attack there. Lunatone, this was one of the pre-release promos that was leaked. So Lunar Cycle, discard a fighting energy from your hand and draw 3, but you need to have a Soul Rock in hand. Speaking of, this Soul Rock is not good. Play a different one. The 1 retreat and 110 HP is pretty good, but it's literally just going to be a bench sitter. I would rather a bench sitter that has a usable attribute on it, and this does not, because this is just a worse fan rotom. Riolu, Lucario, we've already seen this. Toxicroak is bulk. Marshadow, if a Pokemon is knocked out from this attack, and it has to be from Shadow Kick. It can't be from another attack, obviously. You're immune for a turn. Your opponent can just play Iron Bundle to get around it, so it's not the best ability in the world. Stonejourner, 20 and 20 Snipe, not good, even though Shaman is not played as much. Sniping for that weak of an effect could definitely be stronger. Boundless Power, you just can't attack next turn. No, 140 for that downside is not worth it. Garganacl, Power Salt, it just powers up fighting Pokemon. This is effectively the same as Regirock EX and Diancie Prism, but on a stage 2, so you have to put in a lot more space to make it work. So there is that to consider. Maybe 1 copy could be good. You also have to account for the fact that we have the Premium Power Pro. So maybe it's not worth it. But it is just a flat 30, so it's definitely worth considering at least a 101 line. Crawdaunt, if this Pokemon has any damage counters, it can be used for 1 dark instead of 2 dark and colorless. Not the best attack cost, and that 130 for 1 is good, but there's not really an easy way to put damage on yourself unless you use Team Rocket's Venture Bomb, but that requires a coin flip and it has to go to you, and Crawdaunt has to be in the active to receive said damage counters. Unless I'm forgetting something, I think Venture Bomb is the only way to damage yourself, so I'm not sure if Crawdaunt would be good enough, and even then, it's just gonna get knocked out right away. Mega Absol is unfortunately bulk, which I'm not upset about, because a lot of people were fearful that the basic the basic megas were going to be like tag teams. There we go. But so far, the first set of them have not been good. They're not bad, but so far they leave a lot more to be desired. Spiritomb, when your active dark is damaged by an attack, put 1 damage counter on the attacking Pokemon. I believe this stacks, but do you really want a bench full of Spiritomb to just put 4 damage counters? Just play Rocky Helmet instead. Veltal, 20 damage, can't retreat. There's a lot of blocking, so a lot of people are respecting it. So unfortunately, that effect is not ideal right now. Thievul, draw cards until you have 6 in hand. No. That's an attack, not an ability, which is not ideal. We also just have Cleffa, which does it for free on a basic and draws you 1 more card. So Cleffa is just better. Grafaiai, flip a coin. If heads, choose a special condition. Your opponent's active is now affected by that special condition. So I guess you could inflict them with paralysis, or if you have something else that you want to inflict them with that, but Miracle Paint on a coin flip. Special conditions on coin flip, there's a lot of ways to guarantee certain ones, so I'd rather just those, like Brute Bonnet for poison, Volcanion for burn. The other 3 are more invest heavy because they do require coin flips, but I don't think Grafaiai is the answer. Steelix, Welcoming Tail. If you have 6 prize cards, this attack does 240. Double colorless, we have Ignition Energy, so I guess it could be an early attacker. 200 HP is a lot, especially on a stage 1. If you're playing Ignition Energy, maybe a 1/1 line. You can get it out turn one with not turn one. Well, yes, turn one. You can get it out immediately with Salvatore, but you have to find it, and you also have to have not taken any prizes for 240. I mean, most basic EXs have 240, so you are knocking those out for 2 prize. Mega Mawile, Greedy Devour, 80 for each prize card you've taken, but it's 2 metal. We don't have Metal Saucer anymore. We have the middle stage of Metagross. I'm blanking, but Metang. We have Metang. Um, yeah, Metang's still in format. Sorry, I just had a blank on that. So 80 for each prize card you've taken. We have Petron, which does 60, and that's okay. This, if your opponent has taken 4 prizes, it could be decent because you're swinging 320, which is knocking out, I think, every basic Mega Pokemon. You need to do 20 more damage to knock out the stage 1s, and stage 2s, you would need them to take 5. But you can just always let them take 4, blow up a Duskull, or not Duskull, Dusclops, to give them 5, and then just finish off with Greedy Devour. So that could be a play. Big Bite is not a good second attack to fall back on because it's most of the time, not most of the time, but like 260 is respectable, absolutely. However, if your opponent has any damage counters, they're doing 30 instead. So you can't pre-damage a Pokemon to do 262, which is kind of unfortunate. You are literally just using this to take out big EXs on the first few turns of the game while you're powering up Greedy Devour later in the game. Dialga, 80 plus. If you shuffle every energy to this Pokemon, do 80 more damage. Kind of unfortunate text, because you can't stack like a legacy energy to reduce prizes. So you have to get rid of everything, which means if this is empty, they're just going to target your energy accelerator instead. So not a good card, unfortunately. Tinka Tough has a decent ability. It's Crushing Hammer on evolution. So if you have a way to reuse it, maybe. Tinkaton, however, large swing 240, 60 less for each energy attached to the opponent's active. So if you catch their Pheasantipides with no energy attached, you could boss knockout for 1 energy. The only downside is this is on a stage 2, so have fun getting that out. Goldengo, flip a coin until you get tails. Search your deck for a number of cards up to a number of heads. Put them into your hand. Bad. We saw Radiant Eevee not see play. I get that it needed different types of Pokemon, but that kind of effect is really strong, just not on an attack. So I don't think this will be played, especially not over the current Baby Goldengo, which is played right now for Mirror. So this Goldengo, I think, is unfortunately just bulk. Firo is also bulk. Miltank bulk. Gumshoes has the same ability as Sword and Shield of Rangaroo, so it could be played. The only issue is again stage 1, so if your opponent sees a Yungoos, they're probably just going to get it out of there so that they can get rid of your quote-unquote consistency. It does fix dead draws, but if you draw into a dead card off of the swap and you put a dead card on top, you know you're drawing dead next turn. So it is strange. Defender. Iron Defender, more specifically. Metal Pokemon take 30 less damage. This stacks. You can play 4, and you are taking 120 less damage. The only downside is that's all 4 of them gone. This is reminding me of Metal Frying Pan from Forbidden Light, where the metal Pokemon was attached to took 30 less. True Iron Defender is not getting rid of your weakness, but the 30 less was mostly what you played Frying Pan for. Power Pro, we've already seen. That was one of the first reveals. Fighting Gong, search for fighting basic Pokemon or basic fighting energy. This is Fog Crystal, but for fighting Pokemon. Gardevoir played a lot of Fog Crystal because it had It wanted to discard psychic energies to get Psychic Embrace rolling. Also, searching for basic psychics is a good thing. This would help out Mega Lucario because of the same thing. This attaches 3 basic fighting from the discard pile. But the difference is that Gardevoir is an ability, Lucario is an attack. So you have to think of that when you're playing this. But it's still consistency. Consistency at the end of the day is great. Repel, this is a reprint from all the way back in Sun and Moon, was the last time it got printed, I believe. Same effect as Iron Bundle. Your opponent switches their active when they're benched. So it's Iron Bundle's ability, but on an item, so not as easy to recover. I can see why they'd want to print this instead of something like Escape Rope, because Escape Rope was really, really strong. I don't see that card coming back anytime soon, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because I didn't really like it the last time it came back. But this kind of effect is still strong and worth considering. Surge's Deal. This is one of the more interesting supporter cards that got revealed, and it got a lot of people talking. Ask your opponent if they agree to have each player take a prize card. If your opponent agrees, you each take a prize. If not, you draw 4. So you are getting something good regardless of what your opponent says, because draw 4 cards is so rare in Pokemon that they just stick to draw 3. So the draw 4 already is +1 compared to something like Hop or Nemona is the more up-to-date one. And then taking a prize card, there's a lot of prize card manipulation or prize card related effects in the game. So taking one prize card can do a lot. And also forcing your opponent to take one can do a lot to you. Lily's Determination, shuffle, draw 6. If you have 6 prizes remaining, draw 8 instead. One of the best supporters ever printed. Because this is either Cynthia, which is shuffle, draw 6, or shuffle, draw 8, which is near the level of a GX attack. Dangerous Ruins, whenever any player puts a basic Pokemon onto their bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Notice the wording of this. Whenever any player puts a basic Pokemon onto their bench, it does not mention from hand. So if your opponent plays a Nest Ball, Dangerous Ruins is going to proc. So keep that in mind. And now we get to Mega Symphonia. Starting off with bulk. Tangrowth is bulk. It's not good. 260 for effectively 2 energy. But you do need a lot to make that work, so I don't think Bulky Whip is going to be good. Meganium, this is what I was talking about when I brought up the Executor. This lets you attack for effectively 1 grass energy less. Each basic grass energy attached to your Pokemon provides 2 grass energy, but you can't apply more than 1 at a time. Otherwise, it would just be really broken. So this is a great support. Doesn't matter that it's a stage 2 because there is a stadium coming up that will make this kind of irrelevant. Shuckle, if this Pokemon has any grass energy, you may use this ability, heal 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. Not that good of an ability, unfortunately. Heal 30 from one of your Pokemon. Well, bench sitter, I guess, but you would rather just use Monkey Dory because it's healing 30 from one of your Pokemon and damaging your opponent at the same time. It also has more HP. Ninjask, whenever you evolve, you may search for a Shedinja, put it onto your bench. U-turn, switch with your bench. Not good. You would rather just play the Shedinja by itself. Delmies, 80 damage if there's a stadium in play, not good. Pyroar, 30 less damage if this is in the active. So you effectively have 160 HP. So I don't see it being too good. Especially because Searing Flame is not a good attack. Yes, we have TMs, but I don't think TMs can even save this. Centiskorch, 2 coins for each heads. Discard energy from your opponent's active. Not that good of an effect, unfortunately, especially for the cost. Chi-Yu, Scorched Earth. If your opponent has a stadium in play, discard it. If you discard a stadium in this way, your opponent can't play stadium cards. So it can help you get back into the stadium more, especially if you have no stadium in hand, but you still want to bump their stadium, and you know they're going to get value out of theirs. So my thought for this would be against a deck like Marnie's Grimmsnarl, where they start off with Artisan. So you Scorched Earth their Artisan, and they can't put down their Spikemouth Gym because uh, they don't play Ultra Ball. At least most lists don't play Ultra Ball because they're reliant on that stadium to search for their Pokemon. So if you go Iono Scorched Earth, you can stop Marty's Grimmsnarl from setting up. Hopefully. Mantine, Call for Family. This is usually only good when the evolutions are good or it has a good supporting attack. Unfortunately, Mantine does not have a good second attack, so this is likely going to be bulk. Kyogre, Riptide. We have a reference to the Neo era for Alligator, where you do 20 damage for each water energy in your discard, and then you shuffle those cards into your deck. Unfortunately, there's not enough support as there was back in Neo for this kind of attack to work. There's no easy way to discard energy or get energy from the deck straight to the discard, at least currently. Mega Abomasnow EX, discard the top 6 cards from your deck, 100 damage for each basic water energy discard in this way. There's a way to guarantee 300 damage, but it is a lot to consider. You have to do Cypher Maniac's Deciphering, so that stacks 2 water, and then you play Academy at Night to stack a water on top without shuffling the Cypher Maniac, which allows you to discard 3 water and do 300 damage. Is that enough? No, you need 4. Because 4 energy would knock out everything. So if you can find a way to stack a 4th card on top of your deck for water energy, then that would be the ideal. Klotzer, once during a turn, when this Pokemon moves from the active to the bench, you may attach 2 basic water energy from your hand to this Pokemon. I want to say it could be decent, but it's from the hand, not from discard, so it's harder to do. Inteleon, bring down, this was already revealed. Frostmoth, Ice Fluttering, 20 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Your opponent's active is now asleep. High Promo Coco from Sun and Moon. This is just a better Tapu Koko. Unfortunately, the damage did not scale with 2 generations of Pokemon HP. So if this said 30 damage, it could be decent, but unfortunately 20 just doesn't really cut it. Also, sleep is not the best status condition because your opponent will likely just wake up or switch. Freezing Headbutt, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active is paralyzed. We've seen this a lot. It is unfortunately not good. Magnezone, you have to also acknowledge the fact with this Magnezone that you have to compete with the Magneton from Surging Sparks. Do you want to give up the 3 energy for 170 damage for a single turn? Or 160 damage, but you can't attack next turn? My answer to that would probably be no. Raikou, if you have 4 lightning energy in play, this attack does 120. Not a bad single prize attacker, especially considering it's a basic. We've seen Cramorant before where it did 110. However, that was for free. This is effectively 4 energy to do 120. So maybe not the best, but it is there as an option. Mega Manectric, Flash Ray. This is the exact same attack on Jolteon EX from Generations. Basic Pokemon cannot damage this. There is no way to get around this unless you Gust, so the best way to attack Mega Manectric is to Iron Bundle and then boss it back up. So that is complicated, but if you are an all-basic deck, you are going to have to keep that in mind. Riot Blaster, discard all energy from this Pokemon. If you do, this attack does 330 damage. That is knocking out itself. That is knocking out, I don't think it's knocking out Lucario. Nope, it is 10 short, but Vitality Band is still a card. So you can use that. You are not reaching stage 2 EXs, unfortunately. But Mega Abomasnow is also out of reach. So if you play a Vitality Band, you can reach Lucario numbers, but you are going to need a lot more damage buffs to reach stage 2s. So we can see what happens. However, again, it is discard all energy. We do have Electric Generator. We have Electric now. We also have, again, Magneton from Surging Sparks. So there is all that to consider. Maybe there's a way to get this damage consistently. During your opponent's next turn, Pachirisu, whenever your opponent attaches energy to their defending Pokemon, put 8 damage counters on that Pokemon. They're just going to switch. So they are just going to like retreat the attacker if they have another one powered up. If not, there's very easy ways to get around this. Also, 8 damage counters surprisingly is helpful for the opponent because it gives them Monkey Dory damage. So that's something to consider. Heliolisk, not good, unfortunately. Abra, you would rather play the 151 Abra, whichever one has teleport, because that just puts itself into the deck and can't be stalled. Kadabra and Alakazam have Psychic Draw. Kadabra draws 2, Alakazam draws 3. Good consistency card. However, there's no way to put it back to hand by itself, so you have to consider that, unfortunately. We also have a Jinx. Psychic has not really been a good attack in recent times, so probably not going to be played, unfortunately, because a lot of attacks right now are really cheap. We have Ralts, Kirlia, and Mega Gardevoir. These have been revealed, however, yet I can't stress this enough. Even now, these are the better Ralts and Kirlia for Gardevoir because Collect gets you out of dead hands. Both of them have 70 HP, so you're not really losing much from the other Ralts. Maybe playing like one of the other Ralts could be good, just to have a better damaging attack if you're in a tight spot, but I'd rather just Collect in that spot. Kirlia, 100 HP, which is better than the other one, and search for 3 Pokemon. Searches your Gardevoir, your attacker, and also a Monkey Dory. Shedinja, Fragile Shell, EXs can't take prizes off of Shedinja, so a lot of decks are going to need to get 1 prize attackers if this Shedinja sees play in a wall deck. I am looking at Sander right now, because I feel like he's going to find something with this Shedinja. Grumpig, once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Attach any number of basic energy you find there to your Pokemon any way you like. Not good, unfortunately, because it is from hand, not constantly. So Metang would be just better because of said just the consistency of being able to look at 4 each turn. Xerneas, Geogate, search deck for 3 basic psychic, put them onto your bench. This could actually be good for Gardevoir because I have been playing Hollow Box. I am sorry to everyone in the Discord, but I need to leak the sauce. Bombardier has actually been really helpful in that deck. So Xerneas could be good for Gardevoir to help set up. Houndstone, Horror Bite, flip a coin until you get tails. Reach heads, choose a random card from your opponent's hand, reveals them, and shuffles them into their deck. Again, coin flippy. You're not guaranteed 1 card, so you could just do 30 damage and no effect. So it's not good, unfortunately. Latios and Mega Latias. Latias does 300 damage, and you discard all energy from this Pokemon. Very good closer. We have seen Pikachu EX be a good attacker, and it also does 300 damage, excuse me. It also does 300 damage. However, it has Focus Sash on an ability, so that's what makes it good. It's also a Terra Pokemon, so it enables those kinds of cards. Latias is just a 3 prize Pokemon, but 300 damage is still nothing to scoff at, because a lot of things are getting knocked out from that. Latios just moves energy from your bench to your Latias when you move Latias to the active. Once your turn, when your Mega Latias moves to the active spot, move any number of energy from your bench Pokemon to that active. So in Ho-Oh Box, if you play Latios and Latias, you can just attack with Latias without needing an Armarouge. So in a tight pinch, it could be helpful. The only issue with that is you'd be losing a Prism energy in the process because you need 1 Psychic. Now, this is the card that is likely going to be the most played out of all the megas, at least for this first wave. Mega Kangaskhan, fitting enough, because this was one of the menaces of VGC. If this Pokemon's in the active, draw 2. Just, that's it. You can fill your hand to 8 cards on the first, well, not on the first turn. You can fill your hand to 8 cards after a knockout, because you go Mew, fill your hand to 3, Pheasantipity, draw 3, and then run Errand, draw 2. So that's something you're going to need to keep in mind after you take a knockout going forward. Delibird, Fast Gift, search your deck for a card. You can use this going first. Not the worst attack, searching for any one card. However, it does just leave you vulnerable to an Iono. If the reason why Bombardier and cards like Volbeat are somewhat better than this is because it's searching for Pokemon and benching them immediately, meaning that you cannot get disrupted by Iono. Lopunny, 50 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Not good, unfortunately, because this is just targeting one, and it's only the bench. Beware, 100 on a flip. Not good. Suspicious Watch is interesting. I don't know how good this is going to be because it's Devolution Spray, but only for Psychics. Choose one of your Evolved Psychic Pokemon and put any number of its evolution cards back into your hand to devolve it. Pokemon cannot evolve on the turn it's evolved. This could be decent for Gardevoir because you can knock out your own Pokemon to trigger Counter Catcher. So there is that. But that's kind of niche. Mega Signal was already revealed. Ace rolls Mischief. If your opponent has 2 of your prizes, you can choose one of your Pokemon to play, and it's immune to EXs. So it could be good, but your opponent can just boss. Wally's Compassion. This is good for Mega Venusaur because of the whole energy moving. Heal all damage from one of your Mega Pokemon and put all energy back into your hand. So with, let me scroll back up here real quick. With the Venusaur, you just move your grass energy to something that's not Venusaur, and you don't put it into your hand. Surfing Beach, once during each player's turn, switch your active water with one of their benched. Not good, unfortunately. And Mystery Garden was already revealed. Now, this is the card of controversy. Vitality Forest. Each player's grass Pokemon can evolve into a grass Pokemon on the turn they were played, except on the first turn. Forest of Giant Plants. That's all you need to say to strike fear into Pokemon players who've been playing since X and Y. That had item lock Vileplume, so it had a toxic card to be paired alongside it. So far, there is not a Vileplume for said card. We just have Meganium and Mega Venusaur, to my knowledge, that is a said quote-unquote toxic card. I don't think they're bad. However, I am concerned if they do print a card like Vileplume going forward with this card in format. So Vitality Forest, this is also what I was mentioning when I said that, going back up here, whoop, all the way back up. This was the card that I mentioned when I said Meganium was, Meganium Stage 2 status does not really matter. Also why I said Celebi was a good setup Pokemon, because you can search for a Vitality Forest and the Pokemon that you want to evolve. So this is the concerning card right now, but that's everything that I have in mind for these cards so far. I'm looking forward to this format, Scarlet and Violet era, even though Mega Evolution is technically not Scarlet and Violet. Everything so far has been really, really fun, and I'm also looking forward to this era too. 3 prizes, even though they returned and are controversial to say the least, I'm not really concerned about them right now because they don't do that much. They don't look that toxic so far. But we have Rayquaza coming in the second set as well as Charizard, so we'll see what Pokemon decides to do. But for now, I am going to leave all of that there because that is all the cards that got revealed. Like I said, the set has been officially fully revealed, so no more cards for Mega Evolution. I am looking forward to building this era, or not this era, this format, but that will be a while from now. So thanks everybody for watching this review for all the Mega Evolution cards. And I will see everybody in the next video.